Hello, I'm Scott Coburn, and I'm the head distiller at Mythology Distillery. We're going to discuss the blending process today. When we start the blending process, we try to focus on what we want the end product to be. Do we want it to be a rye? Do we want it to be a bourbon? Do we want a rye bourbon blend? Once we kind of have a vision of what we want the end product to be, we start to look for component whiskeys all across the country. Once we identify the whiskeys that we will use in our blend, we start to conceptualize what ratios we want those whiskeys to be in our blend at. I'll start with a generalized idea and slowly narrow it down through more rigorous sensory. We'll use our team on our sensory panel and start to identify what we want the blend to be. So this process has maybe 100 iterations before we were down to the final 3 samples, and we kind of identified what we want the blend to be.
I'm Scott Yates, founder and president of Mythology Distillery. And my partners were travelers, we're adventurers, most importantly, we're storytellers. We like to tell stories over good whiskey. That's why we started the distillery. So it was fitting that when we wanted to create a whiskey, we really set the goal that we wanted that whiskey to tell its own story. We do that by sourcing whiskey from across the country and then blending it to create interest in that whiskey. We source it from different distilleries across the country, different mash bills, different rack houses, different maturities. They each contribute their own defining characters to the whiskey. And it makes for a whiskey that we enjoy, we drink it neat, while we're telling stories about our adventures and our travels.
Now that we've identified what blend and our final ratios, it's time to scale up the process. We do this in our blending tote, which is on a scale, and using density tables. This enables us to calculate volumes that we're adding into the blending tote and produce a very accurate blend. We're able to scale up what we do in the lab to a 2,300 bottle level. And ultimately, if we want to use a bigger blending tote, we could scale this up infinitely. The final product we end up with is a layered product that is interesting to drink and where it is greater than the sum of its individual components.